Good day, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, I'm going to be putting you guys a step ahead of other traders, in terms of your Forex knowledge, okay? So you have to stick to this video and pay attention to what I'm going to be teaching you. So in this video, I will let you understand the difference between an imbalance, okay? The difference between an imbalance and a fair value gap. Now, majority of traders out there actually think imbalance and fair value gap mean the same thing, okay? So you are going to understand the difference between them. They are similar, but they are not the same. The thing is, every fair value gap is an imbalance, okay? Every fair value gap is an imbalance, but not all imbalances are fair value gaps, okay? So why did I say this? You already know the elementary idea of fair value gap. Fair value gap is usually formed, when you have a three candle system, okay? So let's say this is first candle, and you have your second candle like this, okay? And then you have a third candle. So if the wick of the first candle does not intersect with the wick of the third candle, you have a gap in between, which is your what? Your FVG. So that's the elementary definition or explanation of what a fair value gap is. But an imbalance is a little bit different, okay? So what really makes the difference? One thing you need to know is that price, as in the market generally, always tries to balance buying with selling. So when you have a bullish fair value gap, what that simply implies is that you have a lot of buying taking place without enough selling, in the market, okay, which forms that gap you see. All right. Whereas in a bearish fair value gap, you have a lot of selling, which forms a gap because buying was not really offered. The market offered more of selling and it was aggressive, so it left a gap which price is going to try to balance up, okay? So that gap that is left is what we call imbalance. Now the imbalance might not be within a three candle system every time, okay? If it's within a three candle system, that's when you call it fair value gap. If it's not within a three candle system, okay, then you can call it an imbalance. So a fair value gap is an imbalance, but not all imbalances are fair value gaps. A few examples will buttress the point so you understand what I'm saying clearly, okay? So as usual, let me give you some of the examples. All right, so what do you have here? This is your, you can call this your first candle, okay, and this is your third candle. So we have a second candle in between, and there's a gap right there. Look at this, the tip. Let me zoom this a bit, okay? The wick of the first candle does not intersect with the wick of the third candle, okay, leaving us with a gap in between. All right, leaving us with a gap in between. Now this gap that is in between right here is what we call a fair value gap, because a lot of buying took place and enough selling was not allowed, so we have a gap in between right there, okay? Now that's the fair value gap. So this fair value gap is an imbalance because buying was offered without enough selling. So price will want to try to balance things up by offering selling into that gap, to seal the gap. Now watch this. What did you see playing out here? Market came back into that gap, right? Into the gap, but does not fill the gap. So now we still have a little bit of space, between this candle that came into the gap and the beginning of the gap. Can you see that small space? Good. So this small space that is left, so long it is not filled, it is an imbalance. Price will still come back here to fill it up. Probably, if not in the next few candles, it will be later on in the future. But this imbalance must be filled up. All right. So this is an imbalance, but this imbalance now you can't call it a fair value gap. Okay. This is the reason why I said a fair value gap is an imbalance, but not all imbalances are fair value gaps, because this gap now is formed between this first candle here and this is now like a fourth. This is a fourth candle. First, second, third, and fourth. Okay, so it's formed between the first candle and this fourth candle. So fair value gap is usually formed between first candle and third candle. So it's usually in a 3 candle system. Okay, so this one now is like first and fourth. So this is an imbalance and not a fair value gap. Hope you are learning something. If you are gaining any new knowledge in this video, please subscribe to the channel, so also turn on the notification bell. That's what encourages me to keep doing this and giving you this value that you might not get elsewhere. So look at this. Okay, I think I have another example. This gap is not yet filled. Okay, this imbalance is not yet filled. Okay, so in future you will see that price is still going to trade into that area. This area is still going to attract price. Okay, just put this area in mind. You can see how tight the gap is. Price will surely trade into this just to balance it up. So let's go to the second example. All right, so for the second example, I have my first candle right here. This is my first candle, this red candle, and then this blue candle is the second, and this is the third. Okay, so what will I do? I'll simply mark out the fair value gap right there. Okay, let me copy this. All right, so you can see the wick of the first candle does not intersect with the wick of the third candle. Sorry, I think I chose the wrong. Should have moved this down a bit. Sorry. Okay, good. So the wick of this first candle did not intersect with the wick of the third candle, leaving us with a fair value gap in between, right? So this fair value gap now, what do you see playing out? Price tried to balance it up by coming back into this level, but it did not fill it completely. So another gap was formed. You would notice that there is a gap between this candle and the beginning of the there's a gap between this candle. Okay, the wick of this candle did not cover everything, so there's still a small gap right here. So this now is an imbalance. Okay, it's an imbalance. It's no longer a fair value gap because this imbalance is formed between this first candle and I don't even know how many candles this will be. This is like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. It's like 13th or 14th candle. Okay, so anytime it's like that, whereby the wick of one candle does not intersect with the wick of another candle that is outside of a 3 candle system, then we call that an imbalance. You can no longer call it a fair value gap. Okay, and as you can see, price later settled the difference by closing the gap completely. So this candle closed that gap completely. So we no longer have an imbalance in this area because it has been balanced up. Okay, even from the name you can have an idea, imbalance. So this has been balanced up, and from there price pushed in the upward direction. So let's see what happened later. Okay, so look at this. Do you remember this level, this tight level imbalance? Can you see that price later closed it up? So it's an objective for price to always try to balance up all imbalances in the market. If it does not do it immediately, it's going to do it later on in future. All right, so if you're a new viewer, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.